For us to be great leaders, we need to continually move away from controlling to empowering. Empowering leaders encourage growth, but empowering others is hard work. It takes effort and commitment, but it's so worth it. It's also a biblical, Jesus-following approach that we're all called to, and we need to get this right. What would our band, our worship team, our church, our city look like if we all grew in our ability to be empowering leaders? Okay, so the last video we looked at 2 reasons why we might default to controlling behavior, and in this one we're going to finish off that with 2 more reasons why we might default to controlling behavior and what we might do about it as well. So the 3rd reason why we might default to controlling behavior is that we have a need to demonstrate our worth or value or significance. Do you have a need to be needed? Do I have a need to be needed? And I think it's something that we all wrestle with. We all want to be wanted. We all love to be loved. When we control people, we end up building dependence on ourselves. We draw attention to ourselves, we draw reliance on ourselves, and we end up being not just wanted, but needed. We become integral to the process. The downside to this approach is that when we aren't available, when we aren't capable, when we aren't present, when we aren't healthy, everything slows down, everything stops, and everything collapses. It means we continue to limit the growth of the team when we choose to act in a way that demands people to value us and find worth in us. We become the problem, we become the limitation. And if we don't multiply ourselves, the team cannot multiply and grow itself. And it's especially important in our context. This idea that we need to build away from ourselves is especially important in our context. We have a leaky team. People move to the UAE and they move away from the UAE as well. It's a transient community. We need to constantly be looking to empower others and multiply others, build away from ourselves, otherwise we'll be in trouble. If you're dealing with burnout or pressure or feeling overloaded, it might be that you've been making people dependent on yourselves rather than empowering other people. And this is something that I definitely struggle with and I feel some of the pressure of. And I need to learn to delegate away from myself, to build away from myself, make sure that I'm not doing things out of a sense of being sensing a need to feel wanted or worthwhile or significant. So what's the solution? What's the solution to if we're struggling with issues of worth or value? I will say this, and you may be bored of this, but we need to know that we are loved by God regardless of our performance, of our behavior. We are loved for who we are, not what we do. And we need to keep hearing this time and time again. There's nothing that we can do to make God love us more, and there's nothing we can do to make God love us less. It seems a bit contrite and simple, but we need to keep hearing that because it's against the noise of the world around us that tells us that we are judged all the time, that we have to perform certain things to have a certain outcome. We are loved because of who God says we are, not because of what we've done. And I hope that encourages you today as you watch this. We also need to spend time with the Holy Spirit to really speak truth into our lives. But I realize that this issue of identity and worth can be quite a deep, big issue in our lives. And I encourage us, if that's something that we're struggling with, to really give time to it, to resolve it. Speak to me, anyone else in leadership, elders and deacons around you, and invite them to speak into your life, to walk with you, to pray with you, to minister with you, to find a way for you to really deep in your soul understand that you are loved and worthwhile for who you are, not just what you do. The challenge is that if we are looking for validation and worth from other people other than God, we will always be disappointed by others unless we find a healthy source. And the only healthy source for us for our worth and significance and value is in God, not in our own performance or from other people. So that's the 3rd reason why we might default to controlling behavior, is that we find a need to demonstrate our worth or value or significance by building dependence towards ourselves. And the last reason why we might have controlling behavior, controlling leadership, is this one, is that we are unprepared. We don't give enough time or effort to delegate and involve others. Control sometimes is the reality is required to get the job done. It's because we haven't come prepared to involve and empower other people. Empowering others takes time and effort. So what's the solution? Well, surprise, surprise, it's to be prepared. Make time to be prepared. Have a high value for being prepared to empower other people. And the reality is that we'll all get this wrong from time to time, but the trick of this is to be honest with ourselves and be committed to changing our habits and behaviors so that we can be prepared to empower others. So what do? We can learn from other people. Ask and observe those that you see as being good empowerers. Ask them how they do it. How do they prepare? Observe how they behave around other people. Observe what they say and what they do. Observe good behavior and also observe bad behavior. Decide what kind of leader you want to be and what kind of leader you don't want to be. But when we come prepared, when we are intentional about empowering people, we'll find that it becomes more and more natural as time goes on. So that's some reasons why we might default to controlling behavior. Next session, we're going to look at models for leadership.